Door has opened. We're in. Welcome back.
We're in.
What episode is this? 9? Episode 9? We're nearly at
Yeah,
10? Nearly at double
man. We're
digits?
nearly we're nearly out of that century.
Haircut's
Wait,
still.
no, decade. Decade. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Sorry.
decade, bro. We're.
Credits.
Haircut's still in progress. Still recovering from the butchering.
I mean, yeah, it was looking pretty rough today. I can't lie. So
The hat's on, no worries. Won't be a
everyone's hair's
distraction.
looking bad. Everyone's hair's looking bad, mate. It's all relaxed. No
I,
one's no one's coming out of this looking too hot.
I don't
So.
know, bro. You're pushing the boundaries a bit. You're getting there. I'm liking the hair and
Mate,
that.
good joke. Good joke. No, no, no.
Show us your
Yeah,
hair.
I
I'm
think
not
I
showing
think
the
you
hair.
just flash it, just a flash. Yeah.
Alright, one little flash.
Yeah.
That's all we're getting. Obviously,
Oh,
we've
that
got the
was
podcast on audio versions now. So if you want to see
yeah.
that, you got to hop over to YouTube, watch the replay of the amazing hair. And today, Finn, what are we talking about?
Future technology, mate.
Yes!
Future of computing. Future of everything.
Future of the world.
Yeah, basically. Given that it all runs on technology nowadays, it's all a bit mad, isn't it?
Exactly.
Everyone's got a little phone with basically just a pocket computer. Which is a pocket
Yeah.
computer. Just excels in terms of, like, it's mad actually. You think about the amount of processing power that like your average phone has nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Like the new phones that are coming out, the new flagships coming out this year are gonna have like eight gig of RAM.
Really?
No.
That's
Yeah,
double
mate.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think mine's 6.
Shit. Wait, what's
But
a flagship?
like
What phone
just like
company's that?
no, as in like the
Oh
flagship
shit.
models, as in like like the iPhone 10 or
Okay,
the
yeah. The new ones that come out at the end of the year.
OnePlus 7. Yeah, it's just like the main powerhouse for each company. So the Samsung Galaxy S, whatever the hell they're on now. I don't even keep up with that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all pretty mad that it's all becoming so miniaturized. But because we mentioned on a podcast like a few
Flying
a few episodes
high.
ago now, didn't we? I think we briefly mentioned quantum computing. I don't know, was it life after death?
It must have been. It must have been. Yeah, because it must have
Or
related to this simulation theory, right?
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
No, it was that. It was that. Yeah.
But quantum computing in general is pretty mental. Just the idea of being able to work on a scale and like within a realm that is just completely not been part of computing. So obviously like the limit, so the whole point of quantum computing is it goes past the limit of normal computers. So a normal computer, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure most people know, when you think like, oh, the base level of computers, the base sort of communication, it's just like the zeros and the ones. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a
that's what.
binary,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so it's just sets of data, just bits of binary, just in zeros and ones. But the whole point of quantum computing fundamentally is that instead of having bits of data, you've got these little things called qubits, right?
Qubits. Yeah.
Which yeah, so they can act as like a 0 and a 1, but they can also act as like they can sort of flick between either or states.
So
So
on
like
and
they're
off.
never, yeah, so the whole point of binary is that it's binary, like it is 0 or it's
Yeah, it's
1.
just black and white,
It's
isn't it?
on
It's
or
on
it's
or
off,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then the whole point of quantum computing is it sort of aligns better with nature. So because obviously within nature and within science, physics, chemistry, biology, a lot of the time things aren't black and white, things aren't binary. So they need the ability to, when working on that smaller scale stuff,
Mhm.
be able to have a way of representing data as and working with data on more than on in more ways than just on and off. So it's has this sort of like flexibility, like it's uncertain
Okay.
almost.
Yeah, I get that.
So these qubits are kind of like the main thing, right?
In quantum
Um,
computing, right?
yeah, so
Yeah.
they basically have this whole so it's called superposition, right? So they're both on and they're off at the same time, and they can sort of, it's like there's like this sort of vague spectrum between the two, and stop trying to just explain it like in a way that's not too confusing, but
No, yeah, I get
they
you.
can yeah, they sit like anywhere between the two, and that's the advantage of them. And it sounds like it might confuse you right now, like it probably doesn't make much sense. You're like, oh, what's the point of that? But later in a minute I'll like get to like actually how it's applied. So basically the quantum computer is made up of, x number of qubits, which allows it to work in a different way to a normal computer. So
Mhm.
if you put a normal computer in a situation like, okay, so you wanna let the computer find its way out the maze, right?
Yep.
So what it'll do is it'll follow the paths. It'll go along one at a time. So it has one sort of like train of thought. You can see it as one path to follow at a time.
Okay.
So it'll follow a path, might reach a dead end. It'll backtrack until it finds a new path. Then it'll follow that on whatever algorithm it is running, because there's going to be there's someone will write an algorithm for it and a way that it works. So they'll keep backtracking, and then it'll basically what it might end up doing is exploring a lot of the maze and wasting a lot of its time going down dead ends until it finally finds its way out, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the drawback of sort of just a regular computer, whereas a quantum computer, because of the qubits and and this superposition capability, they can basically just like they can test multiple different paths at once.
Because of the flexibility of them, of the
Yeah, so
qubits.
the qubits allow them to basically um, they can work with uncertainty, so they're able to check all these multiple different paths concurrently.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So they can save. Basically, it's just all about like time saving. It's just about efficiency. So
Efficiency,
like
yeah.
in terms of speed, just way, way, way quicker, like exponentially so. Um, but obviously, like when if you think about that, then it obviously brings up a lot of issues. So I don't know if you know what encryption is.
When you encrypt code, it means like there's like a almost like a password on it, right? Like you'd have to
Yeah, kind of.
decrypt it to
Yeah,
get
so
access to it or something like that.
yeah, exactly. So it's like data that you want to keep secret. You encrypt it with a
Yep.
certain algorithm. There's lots of different algorithms and like industry standards and stuff, and it basically just sort of turns that data, the data you want to protect, into something called ciphertext, right?
Okay.
Which is literally just whatever they call. It's what people what is it's the name that refers to the data that's been encrypted, right?
Okay.
So when it's encrypted, it's basically just a useless sequence of numbers and letters and symbols and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
So the whole point is that when you can send that data anywhere, and as until it gets to the correct recipient, no one's going to be able to unencrypt it. No one's going to be able to look at the data, that kind
Mhm.
of thing, right? So that's what WhatsApp uses in its messaging system. So whenever you send a WhatsApp message, that message is being encrypted, so that if there was anyone's, like packet sniffing your network or anything like that, and they're waiting for some data to come from your network, even if they intercepted it, right,
Yep.
it'd be pointless, because all it does is they get a copy of data which is ciphertext, and that's useless to them, because although they could technically decrypt it, right,
Yeah.
there's no point to that, because the whole point of encryption is, unless you have the key that's specifically designed to decrypt it, like
Yeah.
that, you can spend ages undoing all these mathematical calculations that have created this ciphertext, so you can end up back at the plain text data, which is the original data that you want,
Yep.
but it would take so long that it's just not feasible.
Okay. Especially for like a
So
WhatsApp
that's
text. What's the point?
yeah, exactly. So that's the whole point of it, and obviously, like, you'd have to have that computer working forever. So um for example, there's one encryption type called RSA, yeah,
Yep.
which is this it's an asymmetric encryption algorithm, which is just like an industry standard algorithm. So you get the data, you protect it with this something called a public key, which is accessible to anyone, and it's essentially just like a long string of bits which is used to encrypt the data. And then the ciphertext is sent to the correct destination, where the end user receives it, and it's still encrypted. And then that end user has what's called a private key, which
Okay.
is something that only they can possess, and then that private key is connected to the public key in the way that it correctly decrypts the data they've
Straight
been sent.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the problem with quantum computing is, right, so when you were working with qubits and sort of using that that idea of a maze, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
you are able to perform a task almost as though it's being done concurrently by many, many different computers at once, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So the fear is that when quantum computers come about, or when they become commercial, when they become ready for use on the market, then our current encryption standards won't be sufficient.
Because
So
the quantum is so efficient that it can just decrypt what we currently have, right?
yeah, so the idea is that a regular computer could take, decades to decrypt a single, regular, just a small piece of data, but
Mhm.
a quantum computer could decrypt it within a few hours. That's
Shit.
the kind of
Yeah.
that's the kind of level of acceleration that is dealing with. So the fear is that as soon as quantum computers are introduced, there's going to be this whole leap where our current sort of infrastructure in terms of security online is going to be compromised. So although it hasn't been proved, there's people who are working with it, right? So they've spent, there's people that are researching it and they're testing the ability of quantum computers. So fundamentally, the idea is you need X number of qubits to decipher an X number of bit encryption,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the encryptions have different bits, which basically means how complex it is, right? So the higher the bit, the more complex the encryption algorithm is, and
Okay.
the more secure you are, fundamentally, right? So the idea goes, as the encryption bit is higher, you need more qubits to be able to decrypt it.
Okay. And are these bits related to like my Windows is 64-bit? Is that anything relevant to that?
Not really, no. It's mostly just like the size of the. It's just the size of the key, really.
Okay. Okay.
Like the size of the size of the algorithm that's used to encrypt the data. So, for
Okay.
example,
Okay.
because okay, so generally with asymmetric encryption, so there's two main types of encryption, right? So
Yep.
it's asymmetric,
Yep.
where you encrypt with a public key that anyone can have. So anyone can encrypt their data, right? It's
Yep.
a public key. You don't care if anyone else has it. But you decrypt by using a private key which only the intended end recipient has possession of, right?
Yep.
Therefore, you want it because it's a public key,
Mhm.
you want to have because no, sorry, because you got different keys, you're allowed you can have like a lower sort of number of bits encrypting.
Okay.
I don't know. I might be getting a bit too technical, but okay. So fundamentally, it's all a bit scary because that's going to cause a lot of chaos with security when that comes in.
Yeah. No, I see that. But does that mean, let's say it becomes available? Is that? Oh no, your mic's done by the way. But let's
Oops.
say let's say it's ready now. Do you think the
Yeah.
government and stuff would be holding it back to the market because of this issue?
They don't have control over it though because it's the companies that are developing it. So
Yeah, but yeah,
IBM.
but
So IBM have got IBM Watson.
yeah, but the government can also control what goes out onto in their countries, right?
I mean, yes and no. Like they couldn't. I if there was a breakthrough commercially in computing, like I doubt that it doesn't because it wouldn't work like that. Do you get me? Because they'd have to have the rules in place. Like I don't. There's no advantage to banning the use of quantum computing. Like maybe the companies that really crack it, right? I see where you're coming from though. So the companies that crack it would probably work together with, you know, this government, that government, or these privacy regulation boards or these security regulation boards to work out how it's going to work
Yeah.
before they release the quantum computer. But it's it's that the thing is that, if that if it gets leaked, or if it's sort of someone just makes a breakthrough, they can basically just abuse it.
Yeah, that's okay. But obviously the point I'm making is you said that with the quantum computing, it's obviously a lot quicker and more efficient to
Yeah,
decrypt all this stuff. So
yeah.
so why would the government want that released? Because let's say they're sending messages that they don't want decrypted on an old or with the bits that you're saying.
Well, I mean, it goes two ways because as you say, like, I'm saying, like, it's gonna be able to decrypt our current standard encryption, possibly when
Yep.
it comes out. If you get a quantum computer that is sophisticated enough and has the processing power to do that, right?
Yeah.
It could break our standards. But then similarly, a quantum computer with with the exact same processing power and capability will be able to utilize a much higher security quantum, like, quantum encrypted
Yeah. I
piece of data. So
yeah.
it's less, so it's not the problem that quantum computers only have the ability to decrypt. Like, they have the ability to create, scaled up in encryption, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So a regular computer, we work out what sort of level of security is adequate, like we have right now. And
Okay.
the point I'm trying to make is that the level of security we have right now is good for, like, normal computers, right? But it becomes imbalanced. So you'd have to if soon as, like, quantum computers become available and the ability to decrypt
Yeah.
that data that is used by regular computers comes about, you're gonna have to update everything, like everything. Like, if anything's left behind, then obviously, like, that's just
It's
vulnerable, isn't
vulnerable.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's this whole thing that, is going to cost a lot of money for a lot of people, and it's going to cost a lot of tweaking of rules and regulations.
Yeah, so it's almost like an
More.
age shift, like, as in like when we went from like the
Yeah.
Stone Age to the Iron Age, this is like a whole another age where all of our technology has to be upgraded at the same time or around the same time, otherwise it's
Yeah.
vulnerable, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically just like a big jump as soon as it becomes, widely available.
Yeah. Well, what's it looking like now, like in terms of like it being released to the market? Is it soon?
Nah,
Nowhere
no, no, it
near.
won't be soon. It won't be soon. No, I don't know. Like, I'm not actually like a professional in the field at all. Like,
So it could just
but
pop tomorrow. Be like we go headline news: quantum
mate,
computers.
for all I know, okay, so a bit, a bit is a single. Okay, I just see it in the chat. So a bit is just a single piece of data. So, like, the 0 or a 1, right? And then a byte is 8 bits. So it's just a set of bits. That's the fundamentals of, like, data. So you just have different sort of, like, growths of sets of data.
Yeah, like 8-bit,
Um,
16-bit. It goes in eight, so right? Or doubles, sorry. Does it get doubles?
well, no, it goes in powers of 2.
Yes, it doubles.
I mean, yeah, but yeah,
Okay. So it goes like
depends what
8,
you're
16,
dealing with.
32, 64, 128.
Sorry, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat.
Assumption of a bit.
Another one.
So
Hold on.
quantum.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, you go, mate, you go.
So ultimately, we've got quantum computing, which is the next level of computing.
Oh wait, no, sorry.
What?
Sorry, Spencer. I just done this. Another. Yeah. I think maybe you mean a nibble. I don't know who. Oh, it's Owen, isn't it? Owen is Spencer Bad Hair.
Yep.
Yeah, nibble is half a byte, so just 4 bits.
Wait,
I don't know
really?
if that's. Yeah, I don't know if that.
That's
I don't know
funny.
if that's what she was looking for. Okay, yeah.
That's funny. Nibble.
Yeah, just like a little bit of a funky.
Okay. Who comes up with these
Yeah.
names? Is it just universally made, like
I,
agreed on?
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just a universal thing now.
Yeah, because obviously all the companies like Apple and stuff and Android link their operating systems off well, not Apple, just Android, isn't it? They do like foods.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's not.
that's more just like a that's more like it's just sort of naming
It's
mechanism.
like a
But
running meme.
yeah, it's a bit weird that like by a bit to the like the actual base level of all computers, and we've just decided to call a pack of four of them a nibble. Like that is a bit weird, isn't
Yeah, I mean, pack of four of anything is a little bit of a nibble.
it?
Pack of four Kit Kats, that's a nibble.
Nah, mate, that's more than a nibble. I tell you what.
Nah, that's a nibble for me. My diet's improved.
Okay, what were you saying? Sorry, you were gonna ask a
Well, I was
question or
just
something.
saying, just to summarize, what my mind's sort of absorbed is quantum computing is obviously the next step for us within technology. There's no like, there's no other step. This is the next step, right?
Well, I mean, for technology, that's broad.
Okay, not for technology, for computers, sorry.
Yeah, sure. For like
So
computer, for like processing
processing
power.
power, yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
this is just like a next level of efficiency in terms of data, like in terms of anything to do with data is just make everything's more efficient with this quantum computing.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I don't know. It's going to cause like a huge market shift, won't it? Because first of all, no one knows how much they're going to cost. No
Yep.
one knows how easy they're going to be. Well, how easy they're going to be to create. No one knows. Well, we have an idea. Obviously, like they're more difficult to create, but like on a commercial scale, we don't know. And then also, the impact it could have on just literally the market in general, like
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
everything nowadays, everything's about data. It's about metadata, it's about data mining, it's about processing data. Like the whole idea of that would just be revolutionized because immediately, you've got this exponentially quicker method of collecting data.
Yeah. So does this link in a way with cryptocurrencies? Because obviously
Yeah,
this is going to be, like you said, a quicker way to mine cryptocurrencies. So does that
yeah.
mean cryptocurrencies are going to slowly lose their value because they're going to be so much more easily obtainable?
I mean, possibly, or the cryptocurrencies would probably just, the way of far. So do you know much about like farming cryptocurrency?
No, I know. Nah, I know nothing about that.
Okay, I don't know like a lot, but so the base idea is that you lend your system's processing power, right?
Yep.
To in exchange for parts of a cryptocurrency. So the idea is that you can sort of set a machine to be so if you set up your machine to be a cryptocurrency miner, it completes, a sequence of mathematical puzzles basically, right?
Yep.
So it's basically you're just whatever data needs processing. So I mean, it could be encryption, it could be decryption,
Mhm.
just any sort of that kind of thing. You lend your processing power to that task,
Yeah.
and in return you're getting a percentage of a Bitcoin.
So that's your reward is that, and that's the whole point of
Yeah,
the cryptocurrency because that's the currency you're getting.
yeah,
It's almost like you're getting paid for a job, but you're not doing it. Your computer's doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. But then you're actually paying for the power that it uses because obviously you'd have to leave your computer on the whole time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole, the thing is that people have obviously found the most efficient method. So there's going to be, because obviously you got to create an efficient rig. So someone somewhere has obviously in the last few years, because obviously it's become big in the last few years, hasn't it?
Yep. Of course.
Like
Yeah.
someone somewhere will have managed to find the the perfect economically sound way of
Oh
building the
yeah. Of course.
most monetarily efficient and processing wise efficient machine for farming Bitcoin, and basically would have just like mass produced them. You have a whole warehouse of just PCs just farming away because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's profitable. But that kind of yeah. So as soon as you bring in quantum computers, that stuff's it's the same as the security system. Security really like it's all going to step up.
Yeah. In terms of
Like everything, yeah, exactly. So you're gonna have to have more demanding tasks to be completed in reward for that percentage of a Bitcoin.
yeah. Well, obviously with an increase in security and stuff, you're gonna see potentially with this quantum computing more humans lose their jobs, right? Because computers are going to be smarter in a way, right? because they're going to be able to
That's moving more into AI.
exactly, and that's what I sort of
Yeah.
slowly move into. So obviously,
Okay. All
um,
right. So, do you want to talk about, loss of jobs?
yeah, I think that's something that everyone always brings up. So obviously, with AI, these
Yeah.
computers are obviously getting smarter and smarter because we're creating them. We're making them more adept in whatever they're designed to do, and therefore putting humans out of jobs because the jobs they're doing may be more efficiently done by a robot of some sort. Example, obviously, factories and stuff. What, like 50, 60 years ago, people were manually doing all the factory work, like the proper manual labor work. Now you got robots building the cars. Obviously, you got
Yeah.
people in the factories manning them robots, but the majority of the part is just robotic arms, computers all doing it.
I've heard this idea, right? Of almost like it's like a tax, right?
Yep.
So if a company like Honda
Yeah.
want to put in their factory, a robot.
Mhm.
Um, Ex Machina is amazing, by the way, literally amazing. Um, we could talk more about that kind of AI in a minute, actually. But yeah, so if a company says, I wanna get this robot to replace these 10 workers, the idea that's been thrown around is that they pay, X amount of tax, and then for this robot, almost as though they're being paid wages, and then that tax goes into sort of contribute to like a almost like a welfare payment to those workers,
Oh wow. Yeah.
it's like a contribution to the general sort of well-being of like a contribution to some sort of social scheme where they can you know repay these
Okay.
workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or even sort of just literally just you could just do a full exchange. So if they want a worker, so if a worker's working right for like 22 grand a year in a factory, right,
Yep.
or whatever it is in a
Yeah.
year,
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
they've been paid X amount a year to work like 9 hours a day, to work like 6 days a week, or and then they're just doing that over and over, right? And then the robot comes in, and that robot is good for X amount of years, and they can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mhm.
Now, there could be some sort of like contract laid out where the employer is like, okay, I'm replacing you, but it's just cheaper for me in the long run. So, like, obviously, this would have to be something imposed by, a regulatory board,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
companies, big companies, don't care about the little workers. They don't care
Yeah. Of
about,
course not.
they don't care about the bottom of the chain. So, if it was possible, they would literally just get in. They would get the most efficient number of robots in there in the factory, get rid of all the workers, no payments, no nothing, sorted. But if this idea was in place where there was some sort of like tax, they could even like pay the original worker who was put out of the job their normal wages or percentage of their normal wages,
Yeah.
and they're still making money over what they would have if they kept the worker, because that robot's working
Twice as.
far longer and
Yeah.
far more efficient
Steamy.
than the
Yeah.
worker would have done. Because if you sort of just let these companies bring in robots and just straight up replace them, just straight up replace these people, it's gonna cause a massive, massive shift in the economy. And this, and just like it's like gonna cause a massive socio-economic shift. Like, you think about it, it's what's gonna happen if suddenly, like, all these people who were getting a steady income for a family now don't have any income, now can't pay tax, and then there's no sort of tax money to be put into a welfare budget. Like, it's like this whole thing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you, and I think that's actually whoever came up with that is actually a genius because that makes so much sense. Like that tax idea, is actually a really
Yeah.
cool idea.
Obviously, don't that's it's just an idea. Nothing's been put in place, but it should,
Yeah, that should
right?
100% be. That's obviously there's probably flaws that we haven't discussed, but that from the basis of what you've said, like, that sounds amazing. It just makes so
Yeah,
much
like,
sense, like for everyone
yeah,
involved.
exactly. Because you can't, like, even even the big companies would have to admit that the shift it would cause within the economy would also be devastating to them.
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
then you've got no people working,
Yep.
and then you're losing sales for whatever product you want. Like it's just like this
It's
whole.
a whole. It all links together. So
Yeah,
it
exactly.
just makes a lot of sense for that to be implemented. Obviously, that's something that each country has to discuss within the governments and implement to big companies. But
Yeah, I think the difficulty comes obviously when you're working between governments and between these boards which sort of govern the rules. So, like if you think about privacy, right? So data privacy within within the EU, right?
yeah,
We have GDPR, which is basically just a big long set of rules which are really strict and really thorough and cover all sort of aspects of data protection, data security, data collection and how they keep the data. And it basically just lays out really strict rules. So it's like if there's redundant data, there should never be redundant data kept in a system.
mhm,
There should never be data that's not necessary kept in the system.
yep,
Any private data should be effectively secured with encryption or any other sort of security measures put in place.
mhm,
But then as soon as you go outside the EU, it changes. So the US have their own privacy laws that are put in place.
yep,
I'm not aware of them.
mm.
And then obviously, as soon as you go to all these other places like China,
Oh
it
yeah,
all becomes it all becomes a mess. So I think if you take into account what has happened with the laws such as data privacy and data collection, you could maybe see what problems these you know managing intelligent AI and managing robots that are replacing workers is going to cause. So, like, you're trying to put regulations in place, but regulations are going to change per company.
yeah,
They're going
exactly,
to change per country. They're going to change per continent.
yeah.
And basically, it's just going to be this, like, it's not never going to be
It,
consistent.
yeah, it's a whole shift of the society as well, because, like you said,
Yeah.
in my eyes, it will start from the west and then slowly like move over to the east.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of just the involvement of in implementing
Well,
this
I mean,
AI.
we say that, but, the Japanese and the
Oh,
Chinese
that's
are,
very true, actually. Yeah,
the forefront of it all as well. Like, you think about the amount that China have kept secret. They could have some, they
they
could have
probably
some
already
crazy
got
things.
it. Yeah,
That's the thing though, but so like it's a bit scary that government with such like sort of like a complete control over their country, and such like a ruthless scheme of running the country, they could potentially have control of AI, which they are programmed to do what they want. They might have programmed AI with no regard for human life. That's the problem with AI. Is
yeah,
AI, it's absolute. Whatever you program, it does
it
it
does.
completes the function.
Mhm.
It doesn't have,
Morals.
it has no human input. It has no string of ethical
Yeah, it just has
considerations.
no attachment to anything because it's just
Yeah,
it's made just for this specific task.
yeah. So whatever the programmers create, that is what it will do. So that's like a danger if they program, if people with a violent agenda just decide to create and program AI that has a similarly violent agenda, then what are we going to do? Like that's a massive risk. And
That's
then
a yeah apocalypse. That's
also not even accounting the idea that, so the way that AI works nowadays, and I can maybe talk about that if you want to, but the way that it works is you give it, most of the time you teach, so after you teach it, right,
yeah.
you teach it with a number of examples. I could go into depth of that, but you teach it with examples and then it becomes this, you know something that replicates a human brain in terms of a neural network, and you give it stimulus and it reacts in a way that it is learned and the way that it thinks is appropriate to react. But if you tell it, complete this task, and you don't specify what to do at each step, and you don't give it rules, strict guidelines that it has to follow, and it's sort of, more free to move between these blurred lines, then because it has, no morals, no ethics, and no human consideration or implication, it could end up finding a way to complete that task in a destructive manner. Do you get what I mean? So like,
Yeah, I see what you mean.
if
Yeah.
if you teach an AI, to save the world,
Yeah.
you teach it how, the ecosystem works, you teach it how we have been learning to save the world and how we're rebuilding the ecosystem,
Mm.
and that's all you teach it. And then you say, here are some resources, rebuild the ecosystem for all, like, because you've not taught it anything else, you've taught it a specialized field. For all you know, it may, and it may draw up plans that may be like irreversible, to like, it might just wipe out an entire forest because it says, oh, this is where we need to build a huge wind farm because this is the most efficient spot in the world to harvest wind for energy. And then it's just like, fuck, or something like that. Do you get what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I get you. So it links back to the point where it has literally no morals on anything. It just does that task that is specified, regardless of
Yes, I
anything
think you
else.
got to be really, really, really careful when it
Yeah,
comes to AI. But then in terms of this sort of, like Terminator level AI, where it's, this all powerful military commanding being that
yeah.
wants to eradicate the human race, that I feel like that's quite a long way
That's
off.
far.
Like the
That won't be
AI,
in our
yeah,
lifetime.
we've got like narrow AI at the moment, which is AI that is taught on a small scale, because obviously, the more complex actions you want it to undertake, the more time, effort, and programming it takes to teach that AI to be capable.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the less capable, the more you give it to do, the less proficient it will be. Right, the less of a specialist it will be.
Yeah, makes
Whereas
sense.
if you give it a small task, right? If you give a robot a small task as learning when to play music, like, if it takes in speech and then it produces music in accordance to what the AI thinks would want to be played, and all it knows is, mood or music or speech or whatever, then you've given it a specialized learning point and it could be effective. But mate, it's things, this all powerful AI thing, that's
That's
crazy, because
yeah.
we've got to be able to create that in the
That will
first
take
place,
forever, like a
or
long time.
even scarier, be able to create something that can create that. Because at one point, there might be an idea that we can create an AI that's better at programming than we are.
Yeah, and that's when we're dead. That's how when we kill ourselves. Like our humans have literally just
Do you
eradicated
reckon?
ourselves. Yeah, because that's the point. We have no control then. Like the robots have literally taken over.
Well, I mean, that's like that Elon. Musk said that he wanted like a big red button, didn't he? He said he was afraid. He
Yeah,
wanted a big
yeah,
red
yeah, yeah.
button,
That needs to
like,
happen as well.
and he was talking with, higher ups in Google to try and get that sorted. Because obviously Google, a multi-billion business,
Yeah,
it, it's going to be investing a shit ton in AI.
yeah, of
Already
course.
has,
Yep.
and will be definitely at the forefront. Uh, and he's trying to get that done so we can have, control if in case anything goes wrong. But do you actually think like that kind of thing could happen within our lifetime?
I don't think within our lifetime. Just because, I mean, then again, we're only like what 20 years old. Like we could see it in the next like 40 years potentially. It just depends on how. I think it all depends on quantum computing as well, because that will help us loads, like process data, um, and just speed up the whole efficiency of us creating this AI that is so far fetched in our minds at the moment. And maybe in like
Yeah,
30, 40 years time, it's like building a house, like as simple as that.
yeah,
I think the point that I want to go back on is so obviously with the AI taking over jobs as well. Let's
sure,
say you have companies outsourcing work, right? So
yeah,
let's say uh, let's just use Nike for example, classic example. They obviously
okay,
outsource their work to third world countries like India and stuff. And
mm,
so you have kids or whatever, like workers in that, getting paid a good amount for them in their country, which it is like is a reasonable amount.
yeah.
So it's obviously a lot cheaper in that country than America. So let's say these robots are,
But we're ignoring the ethical implications
yeah,
of
yeah,
that
well,
kind
I'm
of.
ignoring the ethical right now.
Okay.
So they've obviously they're doing that right now. Let's say these bots come in, they've made these robots, to work 24/7, making whatever product they want. Do you think India as a company, or as a country, sorry, would come like have a meeting with Nike and be like, we don't want you to leave our country? Because let's say Nike do this, they'd move all their sort of work back to America in these factories run by robots, which is more efficient and ends up cheaper because they're making so much more product. Like
I mean, yeah,
India would be like, hold on, we want you to stay. You're giving our people money or like opportunity.
yeah.
Do you think that that's when like company deals will be made with countries where don't leave our country, sign this, we'll give you like X amount of dollars or whatever?
I mean, potentially, but it all depends on the exclusivity of the technology. Like, if it is, um, an American company that makes that breakthrough way ahead of everyone else, and
Yeah,
then sells it off to all these other American companies, but exclusively American for whatever reason, then I guess it would be a prerogative of those companies to choose who they did business with.
yeah,
They basically just have the upper hand, wouldn't they, in the deals? I guess.
yeah, they would, and that's the scary thing because obviously, like you said before, people that are higher up as companies don't give a fuck about everyone at the bottom. Like they don't, like,
Yeah,
realistically, even though they run the company pretty much. People at the bottom provide that footstool for the people at the top. They don't ultimately don't care because they're on minimum wage. They're doing the dirty work in a
yeah.
way. So
But then
when
I feel like, oh, go ahead, mate.
Well, I was just thinking, obviously, CEOs are usually, they have to be like greedy in a way to keep their business running. They got to do things that may not be ethical just to keep it in the business world of things stay up in the game. Obviously,
Sure.
I won't go into that, but
No, go. You can
so
go into that.
no, it's just like like you said before, where the ethical things of outsourcing work to people, children as well. Like they don't care. They know, they acknowledged it, and they don't care. And it's only
Yeah.
when there's so much media brought onto that company that they sort it out.
Well, of
But
course, mate.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course, yeah, I know that's how it works.
that's
But
the that's capitalism, isn't it?
yeah,
Really.
exactly. And so you obviously got these people at the top of companies that don't give a fuck. So when an opportunity comes like AI, and someone says, "Oh, we can do X amount so much quicker," um, you just have to get rid of all your workers. They'll do it like that. They wouldn't have a second thought
Yeah.
because they just don't care about the lower class, I guess, or middle lower
That's what
class.
I mean. Like it would be up to whoever's job it is to write up these rules and these regulations that are put in place way before this breakthrough comes, so
Yeah,
that in anticipation we can be ready and we can be comfortable knowing that there's not going to be some massive shift where these X number of companies or this company that's really big has massive power over the market because they're they have there's no regulations in place, or because they are the only ones with the capability or the technology to
yeah,
utilize the newly developed AI or whatever it is. So I mean, it's just something like the world's got to come together to do, or
yeah.
there's gonna be some sort of worldwide congregation to realize that has to be in place.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I don't think I want to be around when that sort of stuff happens. I feel like I'm like in the same boat as Elon Musk, where once AI becomes so prominent like that, I'd be so scared that obviously I'll link it to like iRobot, like where like that the robots just turn and have no morals and kill everyone. Like that's something that is plausible eventually if the AI becomes so smart that it turns on
Yeah,
us
but
on its creators.
I just personally, I just think that's so far off. Like,
We say no, we say
there's
that now, but we said that about internet, said that computers. Like you can say that about
did
anything.
we?
I feel like we did.
I don't know.
Like if you told like an elderly person you're gonna have a computer in your hand, or even anyone like 20 years ago, you're gonna have a computer in your hand, like 10 times better than computers you're using now in 2000. They wouldn't believe you. It's like 20 years from now is a long
Yeah, but
time.
that's the thing. Like, it's a different kind of scale because back then it was just the technology of creating efficient processes, right? And right now it's different.
Uh, you
It's
s-
creating it's creating this because the way that AI learn, right, is this thing called deep learning. So it's changed. So like before we had this idea that so during the 50s to the 70s, the AI back then, AI was built with neural networks, which is part of deep learning. And then from the 90s to 2010s, we had machine learning. And then now we've got deep learning, which is basically just a more complex version of neural networks. So
Okay.
the idea is that deep learning in comparison to the older algorithms, so the older ways of methods of developing AI, what the problem they had was they got to a point where the amount of data that they fed an AI network or a neural network, as it's called,
Yeah.
so just whatever it is, the amount of data that they fed it to try and make it more knowledgeable or more precise or whatever you wanted it to do, the less progress that actually made, right?
Yeah.
So the more data, the less progress you had.
Okay.
But with deep learning, it's not like that at all. Like there's so much less of a drop off. So like the results get better with more data, with bigger models, and with more computation. So it's kind of like this. Well, it's basically just like a it was like this quite a big thing for AI, right? So it's just a way more efficient way of developing it. And the idea, the way it works is that it's basically learning by example, right? So the computers learn to perform classification tasks from like images or text or sound. So you sort of you feed it like an image of an apple, right? And then you've labeled it apple.
Yep.
And now they know that's an apple. And
Mhm.
because it's a computer, it will retain that data forever.
Yep.
And then so using these deep learning modules, they can like almost exceed human level performance because you can just feed them sets after sets after sets of data.
Yep.
They just keep classifying it, and then they can classify it. They build up this huge network that's it's got some semblance to how the human brain works. That's why it's called a neural network, right?
Yep.
uh which can almost make decisions. So you sort of so what you give them those training examples, right?
Yeah.
And then the AI learns to recognize and categorize new objects.
Yeah.
And there's like basically, if you get into like the more complex parts, there's like different ways that it learns. So there's supervised learning, which is the thing I kind of told you about. So you give it a labeled data set, the computer goes through it, the algorithm gets modified until the data set outputs the correct result.
Yep. Alright,
And
that's a
then
simple one. Yeah.
there's all sorts of different types of learning which have different functions. So like reinforced learning, where the neural network is reinforced for positive results and then punished for a negative result. So it's learning. It is like a brain almost, or like like a being in a way, which is I don't know. It's kind of weird. It kind of weirds me out, but they're basically just making the computer like learn. They're trying to teach it so it
So
can
it can learn by
understand.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's when you said it has a brain of itself. That's when it starts to
Well,
get.
yeah, I mean that's where we are now. Like obviously it's not at the scale of iRobot where they think for themselves, they have a sense of purpose and a sense of personalization and
Yeah. Yeah.
being. Because that's going to be a point along in the future where it becomes this whole problem with philosophy, where where the computers stand. It will get to a point where they're so advanced that you can barely compare them to a person. Like, but then can you? Because obviously they don't have right now they just don't have emotions. So as long as
Yeah.
right now they're not like that. So they're not like humans in the way that they have ways making decisions in a human manner where they take into account how their character, whoever they're communicating with, the way they speak. It is literally just it has a purpose, and it's just using that neural network to reach the goal.
Yeah. And that's to me like I'm still backing Elon here. Like that's once we get to a point where that brain becomes so efficient that it will obviously have an ulterior motive. That's when shit gets like real and like scary for us as humans.
Yeah, maybe, but I just think.
You think it's
I
well
mean,
far off?
I don't know. Like, there's no harm. I couldn't tell you, but there's no harm. I guess there's no harm in, like, having those precautions in place, is there? So
True, true.
put them in place, but I wouldn't be worried. But then also, like, how would you put them in place? Because there's ways to create a computer that is resistant to just sort of a kill switch, right? If
Exactly.
you can design a computer to not turn off. You can design a computer that is resistant to that sort of like attack.
Yeah,
So,
and that's when doomsday occurs.
well, I mean, yeah, but like you have
There's
to
not.
have some like truly evil, programmer to
Well,
basically
there's
build
there's
that.
been plenty of evil people, and we've talked about on this podcast who've done just as worse things.
Yeah, I guess so.
And if
I
someone
guess so.
really wanted it done, it will happen. It just links to that AI getting into the wrong hands. That's what happens. Obviously,
Yeah.
you've seen it in loads of movies. Obviously with Terminator, you know what year that's
Yeah.
based in? The first film.
Well, was it
It's
2018?
no. It's based in
2018.
2000 2029. So 9 years from now. So 9 years
Damn.
they predicted that we'll have such good AI that.
Well, I mean, they didn't predict it, did they? It
Well,
wasn't
that's their
it
thing.
wasn't an educated
No,
guess.
no,
It
no.
was a it
But
was a script. It was a script.
if you look how far we come from 1984 to now, so
Yeah,
what?
but you think
26
what?
years?
Like
No,
it's
36
like it's
years.
like Back to the Future, mate. Like when Marty goes to the future. What was it? What was the date? Was it 2018?
Something, yeah, something like that.
I think he went to 2018, and there was
Flying cars and
hoverboard.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
I
flying
mean,
cars. Like,
but the thing is, there has been hoverboards and stuff. That's been invented. It's just not
yeah,
on the
but not in the
market.
same, not in the
Not in
same
the same
way.
way
Not in
as
the same
like
way.
everywhere, yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah.
different. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't take a piece of entertainment media as a prediction.
No, but
Like,
it's cool to see what we thought back in the day to where we are now.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like the same with AI on your phone. Like, no one predicted I could go, okay, Google, and I can get someone talking to me on my phone, like a robot, an actual,
Yeah, no, AIS,
and
no, Google Assistant,
yeah.
super smart, mate. It's crazy. Yeah. When I first saw like the advanced demonstrations they were doing on stage, when it would have you seen the feature where like it calls up a restaurant and makes a reservation and like actually interacts with a person
No,
over the
that's
phone?
nuts. I've not
Yeah,
seen
you can
that.
play. I mean, you try and play the video or something. I can link you the video, but it's oh man, it's crazy. It's pretty entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
Book, restaurant. I'll find it, don't worry. Yeah, I got it.
There you go.
Jeffrey Grubb, yeah?
Yeah.
Um, oh, I'm gonna get copyrighted again.
Again,
Yeah.
who copyrighted you last time?
The trailer of that film.
Did you actually? Oh, is it automatically?
They find it instantly. Like, that's another AI. Like, that's within, as soon as it's uploaded, it scans the whole video and it's instantly seen, this is not your content, we've copyrighted it. Which is fine, because it's not a copyright strike or anything, it's just, you can't monetize that video, but we don't anyway, so.
If we don't anyway, then what does
As
it
I said
matter, right?
Exactly, that's why I'm happy to.
earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done.
How does that
It
work?
turns
though?
out
'Cause,
a
you see
big
people on
part of
stream
getting
watching
things
YouTube all
done
the time, and
is making a phone call.
Yeah,
You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the
strange
week,
times.
or even schedule a haircut appointment. We are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses
Wait,
in
you
a good
watching
way. Businesses actually
You watching it?
yeah?
rely a lot on this.
It's not on stream.
No, mate. You are watching you're watching your own stream.
Ah, what a nerd. What about now? What a nerd studying his own stream. Cheers, guys. We watching it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, lovely
But
stuff.
even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem.
Sure.
So let's go back to this example. Let's say
Wait,
you
who's
want to
Game
ask
Lover?
Google
Who is it?
to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon.
Suspicious.
What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
So how can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No.
Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What
I
service
think
is
it's
she
the way that
looking
they
for?
teach it to like the human speech
Just a woman's
patterns.
haircut for now.
Say
Okay,
again?
we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is
It's like the
fine.
human speech
Okay, what's
patterns.
her first name?
You know, like
Yeah.
The first name is
these,
Lisa.
you know, because
Okay,
usually when you
perfect.
get
So
AI,
I will
it
see
speaks
Lisa at 10
perfectly, you
o'clock
know,
on May 3rd.
but like, well,
Okay,
perfectly is
great.
in like
Thanks.
Great.
no
Have a great
errors or
day.
no
Bye.
human like tendencies like erring and erring and. But the way that they form the sentences is just like so human, like it's creepy as hell, man.
That's incredible. And that's when was this video from? This was 2018.
Yeah.
Wow. And so right, so my phone can do that, right? Or is that something that they're testing still? That was a demo. That was a demo, so I'm guessing it's not out yet. I just feel like that would be way more publicized if that was out like officially to the public.
Probably, yeah.
That either way, that's insane. The fact that AI, like this is what I mean. Like 20 years ago, we did not have any AI. Like as in, well, we did have AI. We did have nothing to this extent.
Yeah.
Where we actually have these. I don't know if the woman on the other end knew it was not a person or not, but you could be fooled by a robot, which is mad to me. Like we've come to that
Yeah.
stage where I don't know I don't know if I'm talking to a bot or not, and it's crazy. Same in video games. You don't know if you're playing bots or not. We don't know if these game companies are
That's true.
deploying AI into their game and playing for them. Like obviously, video games have had AI for years and years, but like they're getting
Yeah.
so smart with it where we're playing multiplayer games and these players that may seem really bad are actually just robots just to boost the player count.
Yeah. It's pretty mad. Also, like stuff like biometrics. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then, so I was reading about this shop in America that did sort of trials on this idea. So they basically took scans of like your hand, right?
Yeah.
So a customer, so if you're a frequent customer, you go in, you'll get your hands scanned, like all these different angles, and then at checkout, you've linked your account to your credit card or whatever you want to pay with, and then when you get to checkout, literally just raise your hand, scans it
No.
like in a click, and then it's done, and then you're out.
Jeez.
Just like all this crazy stuff. Like I think because I wrote something about it.
Well, I've also seen, just adding that, companies actually implant you with chips and stuff, right? To
I mean, they can.
and
Wait, what do you mean?
there was a company that have actually started planting chips in their workers
Oh,
to
really?
yeah, as a way of clocking in and clocking out. So when you clock in and clock out, you can obviously lie about it. It's the same with my job. Like let's say there's no one like watching you clock in and what time you write out. So
Yeah,
with these
sure.
chips, they're way more reliable because they can track you. They can see where you are at the exact time. Obviously, the ethics
Yeah,
of
but
this
then
is unbelievable,
yeah,
but
that's
it's happened. I'll try and find the article on it, but
it just breached like a whole load. You got to think about the ethical and privacy and security related implications and stuff like. So if as soon as because obviously if a company is scanning your hand, right, or they're scanning your iris, so iris scanning is quite common. So in some airports, iris scanning is a form of so instead of a passport, right,
yep.
you scan your iris.
Which is yeah, I think that's good as well because you can't fake an iris. I mean, you can if you just kill the person. We've seen it in
No,
the Marvel
but then
Avengers.
the problem is, right, so that company then has your iris in their
Data,
database.
yeah.
And
What
what if
can
someone could break in and they could steal the data which is matched up to your body, and then but it's not like a password, is it? You can't change it.
true?
Your body, like if someone steals your iris and suddenly, whatever age we're in, iris scanning is this huge thing where it can be used for many things, like bank accounts. then they have access to your bank account because you can't change it, can you? Like, it's this. I think it's crazy. It's a bit dangerous, this whole biometric stuff.
Yeah, but it's also dangerous because we don't have a lot of knowledge in it because it's all unknown to us in a way. So let's say in 10 years' time, they may have found, like you said, like quantum computing's out, the encryption on all this iris technology that we have and like fingerprint stuff is so hard to retrieve that we're safe. We don't know because it's unknown to us. Like
Yeah,
it's like us just trying to predict the future is obviously near impossible unless you're the Simpsons.
yeah, pretty much, mate. But
I get your
you know,
point. Yeah, it's scary the fact
in
that
terms just in terms of privacy, that kind of that especially because it seems to be like it's getting quite a lot of traction, and then I feel like because it's not too big right now, it's not had we've not been able to sort of witness a lot of the drawbacks, but as soon as if it became mainstream, like instead of passwords in Amazon you just scan your thumbprint or whatever, then it's it's this huge thing because
yeah
the data, the security on that data has got to be fucking watertight, like
yeah.
water,
Well,
otherwise it's just gonna cause so many problems.
talking about our privacy, obviously there has been a lot of heat on Facebook for this very reason of our privacy of our data that they've been using. And obviously, what's his face?
What, TikTok?
No, Lizard Man. Everyone that calls a Lizard, owner of CEO of Facebook.
Oh, right, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, so obviously he's been in a lot of shit with every government because of the way they've used the Facebook data.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I hate to break it to like, well, I don't really hate to break it. I don't know
break
how
it to
many
me,
people
bro.
are
Break it.
aware, but 99% of the things that you sign up for are collecting metadata on you,
Yeah, I know that.
and
But
they are
his
that could be sold.
yeah, I think it's just the fact that he got caught and he's obviously been fucked for it.
Yeah, that whole thing. What was it? Was it Cambridge? What was it called?
Oh,
Cambridge.
I watched that Cambridge Analytica
Yeah, so selling the data to them.
data for the Trump election. Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like,
that's nuts. Well, they all got
especially it's
that company got shut down, right? That shit got
yeah,
shut
yeah,
down
yeah.
and everything.
But,
Pretty sure people
but
got
mate,
arrested as well.
that's going on. That's going on en masse,
Oh, of
right,
course,
right under
yeah,
our noses, and just the amount of it's crazy that because obviously with this, everyone's got such a big online presence nowadays, and all that data is just being collected. Like, it's not going to waste; it's just being used. Like, all the terms and conditions you don't read, and all the
yeah,
stuff that you don't know about, all the data mining and the cookies and all that shit. Like, it's all being used, all being sold, all your sort of information that is being entered into created account pages. It's all being saved, and
yeah,
someone could easily find out XYZ about you. Like,
yeah. That is the scary thing.
yeah, cookies.
Yeah, cookies are another food. That's true. There's also the thing with where your phone's listening to you, right? Mainly Apple, right? Uh,
Nah, both, mate, both. Huawei.
well, that I
I
remember.
think.
Oh,
Wait,
Huawei as well. Yeah.
Huawei, I think they got in trouble for this because they had Hold on, I have to look it up actually.
But yeah, I remember. Obviously, I watched a video on was it the FaceTime or someone calling on an Apple phone where you could hear what they were saying before they picked up, which I
Really?
thought was mad. I'll try and find the video on it. Yeah. That I thought that was insane, but it obviously happens because it's the same with I don't know if you ever had it like where you're talking about something, you go on Google and the adverts are what you were talking about. I've
I mean,
experienced that
yeah,
myself.
that's
That's
yeah. No, I have as well, mate. I have as well. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I fully believe that. It's like it's almost a conspiracy theory, but in my mind,
that
the
happens
amount that
100%.
it happens is crazy because it's cookies, but it's cookies to the next degree.
Yeah. Um. Oh, just going back to that company, I actually found the article on. I'll put it on stream
Which
now. Of the company that microchips their employees. So this was last
one? Oh,
year. And the thing is, the company, obviously, the employees like volunteered, bro. Like they actually volunteered
wait.
to do this.
Let's see the picture. Let's see the picture.
I think that's just the chip. That's not actually in his hand. That's just a
Uh,
chip showing the chip.
yeah, it's pretty cool though. Pretty small.
So it is injected into the hand. Um. So it's obviously like a grain of rice. You saw the size of it. And look at this
The
here.
thing
So
is, mate.
they scan in. That's what I mean. So they scan in when they're there. So they can't be lying because obviously it's in their hand. That company knows he is at that place at that time because it's in his hand. Unless like someone chops his hand off.
Yeah, but like, this just makes me think. If that RFID tag, or like, if it becomes more sophisticated, right? So if you make it a proper chip that's got that, reports back data, pings back data to a server,
Yeah.
who's stopping Hackerman from breaking in and getting the data address of every single person who works there? Like
Yeah, exactly. There's no stopping them.
that kind of stuff's
It's
real
scary.
scary.
Hold on, this is the quote of the year. You can sniff it while you're at the bus stop. What?
What?
Bro, it says you can sniff it if you're at the bus stop. Why is this a
What does that
quote?
even mean? He says only some of the information stored on the chip in his hand is encrypted. But he argues that similar personal information can be stolen from his wallet too. But yeah, but it's not the same. The ease of access is crazy. It's not like, because someone wants to steal your wallet, right? They actually have to put their hand in your fucking pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
When someone wants to steal your personal data, they could be in China, in the middle of nowhere. As long as they got Wi-Fi and the ability to hack in, then what's stopping them? Like, that's dumb. I feel like that. I feel like that's a good example of a group of people who do not understand the implications of putting those things in their bodies.
Yep, and somehow it always links back to America. Always something.
Mate, they've got to win. They've got to
Yeah.
win at everything, including
Shane.
coronavirus deaths,
Yeah, they gotta do it.
number of strange people.
Yeah,
They're winners all the way.
there's also a state that opened up like normally again. I think it was Georgia. They started
What?
opening up stuff like 2 days ago, even though America's still
I
getting
swear they're like
railed.
right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like.
Oh, I don't know, bro. They're just completely different people. Shane Dawson did a documentary on the Apple thing where he filmed. It was him who filmed it.
Really?
Yeah, of the Apple listening. So
I don't know. I'd like a
you don't
more
you
sort
like
of
a more
concrete.
yeah.
I mean, YouTubers can't trust them. But I'd still back it, because the amount of ridiculously specified ads that are now appearing on everyone's feed, stuff that you never Google. If you can, like, I feel like there's quite a few videos on it actually, proof where people have shown that they've not Googled anything to do with that. All they've done is speak around, like, maybe I can find something actually.
Or where they just speak and it actually does find the adverts rather than you typing it.
Yeah. Oh, is Google always listening live test?
We tried it. What was the conclusion? Were they always listening? It literally worked. That is creepy. That's what I mean. I mean, I trust Owen here. I trust
How did it work? I want more details on the experiment, please. Green Adidas shoes.
yeah, random topic.
Okay.
What?
Where do they start coming up? On Instagram? Shit, okay.
So, and obviously Facebook, Instagram, same thing, same company, parent company.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
That's iPhone though. I'd have to try out my Android.
I think I don't think it makes a difference.
Do it live
Like,
on podcast.
Fucking Huawei got 5G banned from the UK because of their Chinese spying stuff.
Oh yeah.
They were passing all that data that they were taking from the users. Anyone who had a Huawei phone, it was listening, it was recording your data that you stored on there, just passing it straight to the Chinese government. Got done for it, but barely. Like, they got basically just like a little flick on the wrist, and that was it on the way.
And obviously 5G. What's up with that and linking to the coronavirus? I think that's a crazy
People are
theory.
thick. People are thick.
I did watch a video of a guy who was installing the towers and he quit his job because he said that the most infected areas with coronavirus have 5G towers in America. I was like,
Could I just point out that the companies who are putting up the 5G towers have purposefully put them in the most densely populated areas, because 5G towers, the reach of the 5G is really short. So you have
Really?
to be yeah, mate, to be effective. Like, oh, if you've not watched the videos, like even if you're not in if you're not in the eye line of the tower, right? If there's a wall blocking it, the speed of the 5G is far lower than if you're right next. If you're right next to the tower, you get some insane speed, Spencer. I'm not gonna lie, like crazy.
What, like 1 gig up and down? Or faster?
No, 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 no,
Like
no, no,
10
no, no,
gig?
no. Like like hundreds of gigs.
Fuck. Bro, I need to move
And,
there.
and then, wait, was it? Oh shit! Wait, no, am I being dumb? Wait, hold on. I'm gonna have to check this now because I'm not even sure.
So correlation does not equal causation. Who said that? Who's like...
Huh?
What was that? Where's that from? Correlation does not equal causation.
Couldn't tell you, mate.
I've heard that many a times. Definitely like biology or something. Biology or maths or something like that. But yeah, that's
Okay.
true. Correlation, yeah.
Wait.
I want to try this. Did you have your phone unlocked as well when you did the Instagram thing? Because with the adverts, if they're always listening, because I wanted to test it with Android. I'm guessing like if I'm on my home screen, yeah, I think my phone. Okay, I'm on my home screen on my phone, right? How many times am I saying this? What am I saying? I'll try to do the same example. Green Adidas.
Yeah.
What did you say? Green Adidas trainers. Green Adidas shoes. 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 How long do I have to do this for? Like yeah, and stuff like I
Oh,
want to buy some. Oh, okay, like you say you want. Oh, I really like some green Adidas shoes. I really want to buy them. Oh, I need some of those green Adidas shoes.
I'm not sure. Do you think it'll be quick? Do you think it's gonna be like an instant thing?
Yeah, because it usually is like a couple seconds after you go on. Yo, those.
God, I love green
Yeah,
Adidas
oh
shoes.
god, those green Adidas shoes are fire, bro.
They make some great trainers.
They are
I
some
love
fire
Adidas
trainers.
shoes.
Adidas are on
Make
fire now. I need to collect some of them.
A
Came
day
up-
or two after.
Oh, I'll still keep doing it. Green Adidas, green Adidas, green Adidas. I love them. They're sick. Let's go, baby. All right,
Okay, that's enough of that.
that's we finished that. Yeah. I'll
Yeah.
come to conclusion. Let's see if we ever get those green Adidas shoes in the next couple of days. If we do, saw it live on podcast. We'll be in BBC News. I'm guessing the adverts come on the stories, right? Not on the feed.
No, it could be on the feed.
Okay.
Do you not get ads on
Oh
your feed?
my god, wait, bro. I'm not even joking. The first advert is Converse. Bro, that's a
I
bit
mean,
booky. I've never
is
searched
it though?
Converse. Why? I've never searched Converse.
I don't know. like I don't know. Maybe it's slight, but I need a
Yeah. We'll wait until we see those green Adidas shoes. That's when I'll believe it.
yeah. I need a a very accurate occurrence.
But
for
then
me to-
again, it also is a way of this technology of actually being smart advertisement. Like it's not. It's sort of a weird thing for us. Obviously, we're getting recorded all the time, but it's also helpful because like it's something we're interested
No.
in. You not think?
No.
You
I'd
think
rather
it's
get
just
news.
completely illegal, yeah?
It is illegal. It is illegal,
But we're living in an age where privacy is so like
mate. It is illegal. Like, it's
sparse.
not. What they're doing isn't legal. It's completely under the carpet. It's just it's illegal. But they're how can they prove it? They're probably just hiding it. Same as Huawei. Like Huawei just got caught, but why are the other one? You think the others aren't doing it? Like
No, I do think every company is doing it.
my phone is fucking Chinese.
Really?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, bro. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm done.
I mean, I got the opposite. I got Nike coming up, bro, because I was talking about their workers.
Oh, true. You searched for Nikes lately.
Nah, I'm not searching for any shoes. Never. I bought shoes like
To be fair, that
5
is
months
like
ago.
that is maybe a low key a bit weird. Like if you've not looked for shoes and then you've got 2 shoe ads, like I
Within
guess
instantly,
that
yeah. Well, we'll give it a couple of
yeah
days. I'm interested to actually see how this works, and I'll see what happens.
yeah. Make sure we get updated. That's pretty
Okay,
wild.
bro, it's a bit weird now. More shoes have come up from different companies. It's a bit
Like
booky.
what?
Boohoo shoes. I've
Okay,
never
yeah.
used them, bro.
Now this is a bit weird. This is
Like,
a
I've
bit weird.
never ever searched Boohoo before.
Let me go on my feed, see what I got, see if I got anything
That
similar. So
yeah. So
because
obviously,
it might be like a branch thing, because we're in
yeah.
the same sort of social media spheres.
Oh, true. Yeah, true.
So
But yeah, I've
give me
never been on any of those websites recently. I mean, I could have cleared my cookies before as well, just to prove it.
yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is weird. Even New Balance shoes as well. This is a bit booky for me.
I've got golden man sash. Don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah. But anyways, obviously, uh, going back to
Desperados.
nah, no chance. You're fine. Well, unless you've been buying them.
Nah, not for a while, mate. It is a bit weird. Only shoe ads. Like I've just had 2 completely different ads. Nothing related to what I've been talking about, and you've had 3 different shoe ads. Like
All
I would
right, now
say
I
that is
got
a bit
Wayfair, wherever that is.
Wayfair.
Oh, I've got Desperados now as well, since you said it. Bro, we'll leave it for now. We'll leave it for now. Wait till we get those green Adidas shoes that I really want. Really, bro. But yeah. I feel
Weird
like I've
times.
learned
Weird
quite a lot about
times.
the quantum computing actually since when you explained it, because obviously when someone mentions quantum to me, usually I'm like, yep, I'm gone. But I was actually like proper listening, and I understood a lot of it. You explained
Yeah.
it pretty well.
Oh, cheers, mate. I mean, I'm quite bad at explaining things like that because I feel like there's so many bases that you want to touch as you're going through an explanation. Something as complex as quantum computing, which I've only just begun to understand, like pretty tricky to like explain to anyone else. But
I think you did
the
a pretty good job.
basics, we got the
I
basics
understood it,
down.
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's more progress than I've made ever in
and you've
learning
learned
about
about how
quantum.
AI is developed.
Exactly. And how the potentials of how bad it's gonna get.
Well, how good.
Oh, how good! Yeah, I don't know why we're looking at negatives here.
Automation's not a bad thing.
Well, I
Like,
think it's a very good thing. Like,
especially in high risk professions,
yeah, exactly. But I like taking both sides, I guess, because
Yeah, of
for
course,
me,
of
I'm
course.
obviously more human, like pro-human than robot, in the sense
Well,
that
everyone's more pro-human than they are
there's probably some people out there who hate people and just want
Okay, yeah,
robots.
sure, but most people
Yeah,
pro-human,
most
right?
people, yeah. But I think with that law that you mentioned, if that sort of gets actually worked on and implemented, that's something more promising towards AI and gives AI a more positive outlook.
Yeah, I mean these kind of things are such huge leaps in technological and socioeconomic workings that there'd be no way that this stuff would be integrated into part of our society without some sort of laws being put in place or some regulations being set. I'm very confident that no matter what it is, whether it's quantum computing becoming commercial or AI being advanced AI being commercially used or some sort of huge advanced AI being put in a big position of power, that there will be a lot of laws and a lot of regulations put in place that have to be made.
Yep.
100%.
If
Like
not,
it's
we're
gonna happen.
screwed. But yeah, it will happen.
Yeah, pretty
Everything's
much.
regulated nowadays, literally everything. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
happy to accept it all be handled.
But then does that not scare you that you don't really have a say in it? Unless maybe, I don't know, you might be like the president of America somehow. Actually, no, you can't be. You're not born in America.
No. Um. Nah. Why does it have to be me?
Well, I don't know. Does it not
No,
scare you the
there's
fact that you have
nah,
no control over it? Or
there's
do you
people
just think
like
like let it be, like what it is, what it is?
it is what it is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and there's people far, 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 far beyond my intelligence who are the people in charge of gonna be the people on the boards for this. So
You can't put yourself down like
obviously,
that, bro.
oh no, no, no. If I'm comparing myself to Trump, like I've got no quarrels about calling him a dimwit, but
Yeah.
it's leading professionals in the field of AI.
Okay. Yeah.
You can't really compare.
Yeah. Well, at this stage, yeah, you never know. You might be one of them.
I don't know.
You're only just
Probably
taking
my
the first
thing.
steps, bro.
Do you reckon?
Yep. One small step for Finn is a huge step for mankind. That's what the saying's gonna be later on.
Oh, you motivate me every day, mate.
Let's get it.
100%.
Um,
Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to ask me, or anything you want to discuss?
I think I asked most of my question throughout that. It's just like mainly breaking down the points that you were saying.
What are you doing?
What?
What was that?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you heard that. So it was bro, it was Pickle Rick, bro.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Mate, I didn't even mean to squeeze him, bro. My bad.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Oh,
I asked most
fuck's
of my
sake.
questions throughout that. Like I said, I feel like I learned quite a lot about AI and quantum computing
Yeah.
and the future of it, really. And that's what I wanted this podcast to be for. So,
Nice.
any more?
What's Nah, mate. I'm exhausted. I've exhausted my knowledge
That's
on
Fine,
this
more than enough covered.
advanced technology. But yeah, what's the what have we got next up? Do you reckon? What was it?
Oh yeah. So hopefully we got my man Raj. Maybe he's watching. Should be coming on. We're gonna be talking about more. It's gonna be more like a sporty sort of one, like not sporty, more like health and fitness sort of one.
40.
Nah,
Okay.
health and fitness. It's more gonna be about like fitness and his sort of like weight loss journey in a way. Because I think for us, like we've never been like massively overweight, and so
Oh, speak
it.
for yourself, pal.
So now obviously hearing someone else's perspective on life for them as being overweight and
How
losing
they
all that.
tackled it.
Yeah, and I think that's quite interesting because for me, I've been on the opposite side of the
Yeah.
spectrum, so it's got a complete different
Yeah,
sides.
there's a lot to talk about, like mental, physical journey.
Yeah, so it'll honestly be like almost like an interview in a way. We'll try and not make it like an interview, but it's gonna be more of a story told,
We
more
just
like a
we
story
just chat.
shared. Yeah.
A story shared, but chats in between. Yeah, okay, cool. That sounds good, mate.
Awesome.
I look forward to it very much.
No worries.
Cheers for letting me bang
Alright.
on about this kind of stuff. I'm hoping that everyone found it entertaining.
Yeah, I mean it's a specific niche. Like I quite enjoyed it. So like I said, I learned.
Yeah.
We enjoy ourselves, bro, and some people might have enjoyed themselves. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I feel like we expanded our knowledge even a little bit. Even if you just listen to like 5 minutes,
Yeah,
you've
just a
expanded things.
tiny bit. Hopefully,
Yeah, I think that was
something
interesting.
got through. All right. Well,
Awesome.
we're done for the night then, mate.
Yep, no worries. We'll see you
Alright.
later.
See you
Take
later.
it
Cheers,
easy.
guys.
The noise.
You too, mate. Ta-ra.